Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. This is Stephanie Roothouse, Director of Customer Marketing at Replicon, and I'm pleased to tell you that I'm joined today by Replicon customer Erin Obo. He's the Senior Manager Enterprise Systems Architect at the Freelancers Union. In addition, we have a few others from Replicon. We have Vanessa, our Senior Product Manager for mobile. We also have Madhu, our Senior Technical Sales Engineer. And all of us would like to thank you so much for joining this webinar on Freelancers Union's journey to automated time off tracking and how to reduce the impact of employee absences. I'd like to just walk through this agenda slide here to let you know how we're going to actually conduct the next 30-minute broadcast. First, Erin will speak about the Freelancer Union's journey with automating their time off process. We'll then move to Vanessa. She'll give a demo on the mobile and see how time off can be accessed via mobile device. Madhu will then talk about some key administrative and reporting features in time off. At the end, we'll have a short Q&A. So please, at any time during the broadcast, feel free to come up with questions. You'll see here in the next slide, the housekeeping slide. We are actually recording this broadcast. You are on mute. And as I said, there will be a Q&A that will be at the very end, and you can submit those questions that you come up with throughout the broadcast in the Q&A text box, which is located on the right-hand side of the screen. With that, we'd like to hand it over right now to Erin. Erin, over to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Welcome, everybody. My name is Erin Obo. As Stephanie said, I'm a Senior Manager and Enterprise Systems Architect at Freelancers Union. What that means is I handle a lot of infrastructure projects, and I manage infrastructure, data center, and things of that nature. And today I wanted to share my experience with, working with the Replicon folks and using the Replicon time off tool. Freelancers Union is not-for-profit and is one of the companies under Working Today umbrella. And what we do is we represent the independent workforce in things like advocacy, and one of the other things we do is we provide an insurance product that's tailored for the independent worker, someone who works with 1099, and it's something that we've been successful with for the past many years. We also have another company, Independent Worker Services, that does similar things but more as a service organization in the freelancers world. And the Freelancers Union has in the past been able to receive grants and support from a lot of leading foundations like New York City, State, the Ford Foundation, Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, and various other foundations. The insurance company is a for-profit and is a standalone company. The next slide. So I'm going to go into a brief history here. So prior to Replicon, we managed our time off processes using an Excel spreadsheet. So what that really meant was that there's a very manual and intensive process where you'd fill out a form and note the number of days you want off. You stick it out in the mailbox. Oh no, prior to that, sorry, you get your manager to authorize and sign it that yes, you're okay for you to take those days off. Put it back in the mailbox. The HR personnel would grab it, and then they'll take that and try to convert that into a spreadsheet. And earlier there were two people that managed the spreadsheet. It became very cumbersome to, as you would expect, for two people managing it, and we finally delegated that chore to one person. But it was a very time-intensive process, and one of the things we're trying to avoid was the organization using that process was open to expensive litigation risk and definitely high operating costs, and then the time taken to work that spreadsheet led to decreased workforce productivity for everyone involved, the employees, the manager, and HR. And then one of the major issues for us was finance audit compliance, and that drumbeat was starting to sound a lot louder, where at the end of the year trying to reconcile what was owed and what was left in our time off banks, as you say, for people to carry over and the payback, it became a really, really intense process for HR and finance to work through to come up with the final numbers. So part of the audit process revealed that maybe we should start looking at doing something about this. So we did. We embarked on that journey. And part of the other process was you couldn't figure out how much time you had off. It was really true. You could make a mental note of it and say, I think I have 3 days off, but ultimately it was just a mental note. You'd have to go back to HR and they would say, all right, give me a couple of days. They'd take a couple of days, try to work it out, and then maybe they'd come up with something that was pretty close. But at the end of the year, they just kind of wrote a lot of things off. So internally, we have a technology selection process that we went through to try and figure out what would be the best application for us. We looked at vendors like Kronos, including Replicon. TimeForce was another vendor we looked at. We looked at Paychecks. There was another company called TrackSmart, and you might have heard of QuickTime, Apogee. So we engaged all these vendors in trying to figure out the best product for us. And one of the requirements, or some of the requirements in this process that we were looking at, was ease of administration and payroll integration, because we use Paychecks and we wanted, it would have been easy for us to go to Paychecks. So we did look at Paychecks, but we wanted some tool that would integrate with Paychecks. Also the user experience. One of the nice-to-haves was the calendar view. If you could have a calendar view, if it could be integrated with Google, was one of the other requirements. And mobile access was something we also wanted to consider. So that was out there. It didn't weigh as much, but we wanted to consider it because we knew with the type of workforce we had, we would like to give them that opportunity to access time off with a mobile device. And then more importantly for me was the enterprise integration. I wanted to know if I could do single sign-on, and if I had those opportunities or APIs to hook into Google Apps, some of the things we were looking at. And then ultimately, cost and pricing is always a concern of us. And after we went through all this waiting, and we weighted this more on the business side because really it was more for business. I was looking for a tool that was sort of cloud-based, and I could move some of the administrative headaches away from technology and put it in the hands of HR. We ended up with Replicon, Paychecks, and TimeForce as the 3 finalists, and we ended up going with Replicon, even though it wasn't cheapest, but it met all of the other goals that we're looking for, and have to report we've been very pleased with it. And one of the things we do with it is the ability for anybody, anywhere, anytime to register the time off. One of the things we had a problem with was sick time off. A lot of times you don't plan to be sick, so someone at home would come back after 2 or 3 days and forget to note, fill out the form, put it in the mailbox, get someone to authorize it, sign off, and give it back to HR. So we're losing track of sick time off. But now it's such a great thing when someone's sick. Now that's nice to be sick, but from home the day or the day before they come to work the next day, it's easy to go online on your mobile device, check it off, and the supervisor, manager gets it, and they quickly authorize the time off. And now what's been happening is HR spends less and less time trying to manage time off, especially sick days. Initially when we started using this, they still had to send notes out to the managers to remind them that someone's out sick. Please remind them to put a sick time in Replicon. That doesn't happen. It just sort of happens automatically. The reports get out, and it's been great. One of the other things I wanted to bring up was we had planned a rollout for, I think it was the end of August, and we were going to go October 1st was go live date. So we implemented it, made all the conversion from the spreadsheets ready to go, and then we started a couple of training. And we figured maybe we get about 4 or 5 weeks to roll it out. After the first week of training and trying to get people introduced to Replicon, we realized the ease of use was really exactly in our sweet spot. The user experience we were getting feedback from was great. And rather than roll it over through the different departments over 6 weeks, by the end of the second week we went live. So we're ahead of the project over a month, and I haven't looked back since. And I've definitely slept better at night because I don't have to deal with the headaches, and I come with the spreadsheet and trying to get the reports out at the end of the year and working with HR. And in the process of trying to roll out Replicon, one of the things that I ran into was support. I think they provide one of the best support services. A lot of the vendors we work with, you know, and when we're looking at this, one of the criteria was that if we can get 24/7, 365 by 24/7 support, it would be great. It actually turns out that Replicon does fit that bill, and I've had the best experience working with them. The turnaround's been quick. Whenever I have a problem, you know, it doesn't matter 8 o'clock because I work around the clock. Whenever I have a problem, they've been there for the support, and I would highly recommend that. So, in conclusion, we've had improved efficiency, accuracy, in managing that time off through desktop and mobile devices. And self-service is really key for us. The calendar view really does help. There's very little overhead and a little training. When new employees come on, it's been relatively a smooth transition to get them to use Replicon. And management has totally simplified for me and for the HR, and getting the reports out and the balances is all real time now. And we've minimized a lot of the labor and compliance risks.
Excellent. Thank you, Erin. We're now going to transition into the mobile demo. Vanessa is going to just show, just going to walk you through a little bit and show you actually how it works. Vanessa?
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, everyone. I am going to be giving you a short demo on our mobile app. So the time off feature is available on the latest Replicon platform and our Android app and our iOS app. To download the iOS app, you can go to the Apple App Store, search for Replicon, and download it that way. To download the Android app, you can go to the Google Play Store, search for Replicon, and download it from there. Once you download the app, you basically can log in with your credentials. So here, what you see on my screen is the iOS app, and I'm currently logged in as an employee. So I'm going to, from the main menu, you'll see a time off option. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that area. And from here, I can see any of my historic time off bookings. So you can see I have 2 vacations that were approved. There's 1 vacation request that's pending, waiting for approval. And the balances tab basically gives you any of the time offs you have already taken in the past and any future time offs that are available to you. And the holidays tab gives you your holiday schedule. So this is configurable. So if you have users in Canada, they'll see the Canadian holiday schedule and so on. So let's go ahead and book a time off by tapping on the plus button. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my time off type. And the types that will show up here are depending on what are the types that I'm allowed to take that is configured for me from my admin. So I'm allowed to take bank time, family emergency, holiday, personal leave, sick, and vacation. So I'm going to go ahead and book vacation and select a date here. So let's say I want to book something in June. Let's say from 24th to 27th. And let's say on June 24th, instead of taking a full day off, I want to actually take a partial day off. Starting at 10, I want to take 3 hours on that day. And on the last day, I want to actually also do a partial day. And let's say I want to do 2 hours. So, this is available to you, if that's something what you want to do. If you don't have to, if you want to take all full days, you can do that as well. And if there's any comments, I can type in, any comments here too. So let's see. Please approve. And I'm going to go ahead and submit my time off request. Now at this point in real time, my supervisor would be getting a time off request from me. So I'm going to go ahead and now log out and show you, how this looks like from a supervisor's perspective. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in as a supervisor. Okay, so now the app is logging in. And you can see on the supervisor view, there's an extra option on the main menu called approvals. And from the approvals, you can see all of the approvals, that are pending for supervisor. So under the time off section, I'm going to go to the pending approvals. And here are all the requests that are sent to me that I need to, either approve or reject. So let's go and take a look at the request that I just submitted. And here you can see, here's my June 24th to 27th time off request and my approval comments. This is, Vinesha's request that went to the supervisor now. And then so from this screen, I have a choice of doing a quick approval by tapping on this check mark, or I can do a, individual approvals as well. So I'm going to go ahead and, approve the last request that I just submitted and tap on this approval. And that's basically is the time off feature. You can see how easy it is to, send in a request or approve a time off request.
Excellent. Thank you, Vinesha. Madhu, let's go to you.
Thank you so much for that, Stephanie. So we saw through Vanessa how simple Replicon solution is, where an employee can just go into their smartphone and request time off that way. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you some of our reporting and administration functionalities, which I feel would be very helpful because that's one of the key requirement from a supervisor or an approval perspective. Now, with regards to reports, all Replicon reporting system is very configurable, which means I can create my own report by clicking on New Report, choosing a template, and customizing it from there. Or I already have predetermined templates or canned reports from where I can customize. Now let me just pull up a good report here. Now time off detail is a very good report to see the time off bookings for each of my employee for a specific time frame. So let me just run this report to get that information. Okay, over here we see for previous month for different departments all the users who are working in that department and the time off bookings that they have done along with their comments. Now, if you find any of the columns which you would like to have in your report, which is missing in this report, all you need to do is go into settings where we have all the data points that you need in terms of reporting. So I just need to enable the columns that I would like to track in my report. Now, once I've enabled those columns, I can arrange it by dragging and dropping it exactly where I want to see it in my report. So once I've done that, I can group it. As you can see, currently I've grouped it by department. If I want to do multiple grouping, again, that's something I can do as well. Now, one of the key functionalities that our reporting offers is this custom column. Now, what this custom column will do is you can use the available data points in Replicon and use logical conditions or logical operators similar to the way we use in Excel to generate a value for me. I can also choose the format the output needs to show in my report. I can also put in the name of the column exactly the way it needs to show in my report. Basically, what it means is most of the slicing and dicing that I do in Excel, all of that now could be managed within Replicon. Now, once I've added all the columns, I can go ahead and run my report. And any report that we pull up in Replicon, you can export it to Excel, you can export it to PDF, and you can email it to someone right from here. And the other part of the reporting is the scheduling of report. So let's say the time off detail is a very good report for me to see, let's say every weekly, I can schedule it. So when I say schedule it, I can choose the recurrence exactly when I want to see. Let's say from this week, I want to send this report by 8 a.m. and I want to add all the users who might want to be a part of this report. I can also choose the format exactly the way the report needs to be sent. So once I schedule, what happens is every week an email will be sent to all these users with the report that they want to see in the format they want to see, which means they don't even have to log into Replicon to run a report. Replicon will send a report exactly the way they want to see it on a weekly basis. That's how robust our reporting is. Great. Now moving into administration. As Vanessa mentioned about the email notification, so there are a few set of email notifications that could be enabled. So again, you can always make changes to the content of that email by drilling down into that timesheet that email template here. Now, other key thing that I want to show with regards to the administration is time off type. now how easily you can set up different time off types with multiple accrual policies. Now, I'm taking an example of a sample vacation. So I'm just considering an employee who's new to the organization. So on the start date of that employee, he's got 0 balance, and let's say he accrues monthly on 1st of every month by 1 day, and I'm going to put a check on prorate, which means if somebody joined in between the month, it will be prorated based on when they join. And let's say we have a reset policy where at the end of the calendar year, we allow our employees to carry up to 4 days. So I'm just going to set that up. And if you're not allowing your employees to request for a time off if they don't have enough balance, now this is where I would set up that. So limiting maximum overdraw to 0, which will ensure the employees cannot request for a time off if they don't have enough balance. Now, once they have spent so many years in the organization, if the accrual policy change, I just need to click on add new policy. And after how many years the policy change, I can set that up, whatever their previous balance was. And let's say instead of 1 day, now they get 1.5 days. And the rest of the policy remains the same. So I can keep adding the policy as long as it doesn't change. So I can assign this time off type to a specific user, a group of user, or to the entire department. So that's how easy it is to set up, time off types with multiple accrual policies within Replicon. This is about the time off types under the administration section. The next thing I want to cover is with regards to the payroll. Now, your payroll team would be very delighted to see this payroll tab. So as a payroll person, I can log into the payroll tab here, where I can see the historical bookings that have been submitted by my employees. So very nice view to have. And also, as a payroll person, I can also see the time off balance for the entire organization. So this will show me all the users in the organization and with regards to different time off types and their balance as of today. I get a very nice view. Now, apart from this, we also integrate with most of the payroll system. Now, this is a sample file that we had created for ADP. So basically what we do is we go ahead and create a CSV file matching the data points that you want to push from Replicon into your payroll system. So on a periodic basis, all you need to do is come to the payroll tab here and export this information and import that into your payroll system. That's all I wanted to cover for today. All yours, Stephanie.
Thank you, Madhu.